Saying to your kid that you drank or you did drugs, but you can't do it, it's just like it's a complete double standard.
I don't really have a problem with hypocrisy. Every now and then, a little hypocrisy goes a long way.
It's hard because I don't want to say it, but man, there were some Grateful Dead shows where I was having a great time.
Fine.
I just don't want to be caught not having a scripted answer. Hi ladies, it's Giyen from Bacon is My Enemy. Today the big question is, are you going to tell your kids the truth about your use of alcohol before you were 21 and whether or not you've done drugs? And I know this is a toughie. I mean, I could talk about alcohol all day as an adult, but when it comes to talking about alcohol or drugs with my kid, it just becomes really difficult. Saying to your kid that you drank or you did drugs, but you can't do it, it's just like it's a complete double standard. And so it's like it's sending mixed messages at them. This is something that my daughter doesn't know. I was a hot mess in high school. She would not even believe me if I told her, the amount of partying I did. If I had a daughter like me, I would have sent her to rehab.
It's funny, this question is not super tough for me because in high school, I just didn't indulge. I really wasn't a drinker. I didn't get high. So in terms of talking to my kids about my own drug use or my own alcohol use, especially in my younger years, that won't be so tough. I think it'll be more challenging to keep it real with them about drug and alcohol use in general.
I have not had to deal with this with my 3-year-old, but I do have 3 stepchildren. They are 26, 23, 15. I try to be honest about consequences and context. Like I might say, to my older one, you might think that pot's just something to set your hair on fire, but it can actually cause depression. And it made me depressed. There were times in my life when I did it to have fun, and actually it did the opposite. It's hard because I don't want to say it, but man, there were some Grateful Dead shows where I was having a great time.
I think that Paige is never going to do drugs or never going to try alcohol or whatever. That's like living in La La Land, and I'm not living in La La Land. I don't want her to do it, but I'm sure it'll come up. I don't want her to think it's okay for her to experiment and get out of control because she's going to turn out fine, because her mom turned out fine.
I do believe that there's something to be said about children wanting to model their parents' behavior or what they think their parents' behavior was. I just think that mommy secrets are a really good thing. They're a healthy thing, and I don't really have a problem with hypocrisy. Every now and then, a little hypocrisy goes a long way.
I have a hard time with that because, just recently Paige told me that I've been sugarcoating her entire adolescence. I'm creating a unrealistic perception that life is going to be easy all the time, and that I'm not teaching her how to deal with hard things.
I think you gotta act like, yes, it's out there in the world, which is what I do, and I'm well aware of it. I'm a worldly person, but you don't need to put too fine of a point on it. I don't want to draw diagrams because, frankly, if I drew a diagram of everything I did and ingested and stuff, it'd be quite a diagram.
If I caught her with drugs and alcohol, or if I knew that she was doing drugs and alcohol, I would not have done what my parents did, which was nothing. I mean, I think that they tried to control the situation by grounding me and not actually dealing with the undercurrent reasons why, I did drugs and I did alcohol. It had nothing to do with being experimental. It had everything to do with filling a void.
I want my boys to know that more than anything, that people are running to drugs and alcohol because it makes them feel good, but that's just a temporary fix. I don't want them to be so much anti-drug and anti-alcohol as they are anti-addiction. I just don't ever want them to feel like there's some external force that has more control over their lives than they do.
I just try to be really open about hey, you're in a place where you're not comfortable, people drinking, or you have to get a ride from somebody who's been drinking and doing drugs, you call me. Because, so I try to make it seem like, yeah, we have to do that scene, I know it exists. But I don't want to, I'm kind of straddling the line.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take an egg and a hot frying pan, and then I'll crack it in the frying pan just like that commercial, and I'll say, this is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Drugs are bad, don't do them. Alcohol is bad, don't do them. Hold on. Mommy's gonna have a little sip. Just kidding, ladies. Just a little Pepsi.
Join the Momversation at momversation.com.